and welcome to the Sober Freedom Podcast. I'm Christal.
And I'm Lisa.
And we're here to share our experiences of going alcohol-free and the freedom that it brings, in the hope that it might inspire and support you in your journey.
Hi, and welcome to the Sober Freedom Podcast. Oh, Lord. With me, Lisa, and with Christal.
Hi.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Good, I'm good. I just think this is a good opportunity to maybe have a little reflection upon the feedback we've had over the past few weeks of episodes going out. And got to say, I'm really, really buzzing because we've had so far 100 unique listeners to the podcast on Spotify and Apple. And I'm really amazed because I didn't think it would be as popular as this or gain as much traction as it has. So for me, I'm really excited because it means it's resonating with so many people and people are passing it on to their friends or someone who they think might enjoy it, benefit from it. So yeah, it's been a real eye-opener and just a really positive experience for me.
It's brilliant, isn't it? Because I think when we started recording it, we had the idea and we were excited to share our stories and hopefully help people. But then for me, I'd not really thought, oh, people are going to listen. Yeah. People are going to come up to me and say, that's really resonated, or it's going to start a conversation. But I know it has been starting lots of conversations, hasn't it?
Lots of conversations. Like I say, just last night when I was coaching in the gym, there was one of the members that approached me who I never really see on social media at all, never kind of likes or comments on anything. But she approached me and she was just saying that she'd listened to a couple of episodes and it was so it was so great to listen to a conversation that was real and relevant and not like this big taboo subject. It was just a real conversation about alcohol, the good times you have with it, but also the bad times, and it just resonated with a lot of people. And as I was speaking to her about it, another lady said, oh yeah, I've been hearing so much about this. My friend listened to it and she said, and I'm like, flipping heck, like there was a real buzz about it and it was totally organic. Like I didn't say anything about it.
Yeah.
They approached me and then that started a conversation within the whole class.
Oh, that's
and I'm
brilliant.
Like, what? And talking 10 times, ladies.
Oh, it's really nice to hear. And someone else had commented as well that that through listening and hearing us speaking so openly about it, they felt that they were able to be more open in sharing their story about it and more empowered.
Right.
So I think, that's what it's all about. Cause we do want to take that stigma away, don't we?
It's definitely what it's all about. I think, like I've said previously, with alcohol, you either have a good time, I see anyway, society perceives it as you either had a great time and you enjoy yourself, or you're a low-down, raging alcoholic. And you're talking about two ends of the spectrum there. There's lots of in-between, and the in-between bits can be great, but it also can be troublesome. So if it does affect you, or if you recognise there's no issue or stigma that should be attached to that, you wouldn't approach any other part of your physical and mental health in the same way. So why do it? And I tell you why we do it, because it's so part of our culture that it's like, well, you're either one end or the other. So, and no one wants to be the other end.
Yeah. Well, there's a whole thing in the media at the minute, isn't there, that Molly May has spoken out, and her line was that alcohol was causing them problems in their relationship, not that Tommy had a problem with drink. And there's been a whole storm of media around that comment. And again, it's been really controversial, actually, because I've heard perspectives saying around, I suppose it's like that stigma attached to being a problem.
Yeah.
But I think there's arguments for and against what she said. But I think where I stand on it, it's all so personal to you and how you feel with drink. So if we're saying things in this podcast and it's like setting off little light bulb moments for you, it might not be that you have a problem with drink necessarily, but it might be that it's causing problems for
Alcohol
you.
Causes problems
in your life
for you.
And that's where I'm with it. And it definitely was causing problems for me.
Similar to me, I wasn't having a drink and then going out and like smashing up bus stops and things. But it was getting to the point where every time I was drinking, the after effects weren't fun for me. So if it's a case of that, I can't go out and drink moderately and have a fun time. It was bringing trouble to me, even if it was just to me personally, not to anybody else. That for me is enough to say, hang on, let's have a look at this.
Yeah.
And I liked the fact, and some people are like, whoa, but I liked the fact that she said, like he didn't have a problem with alcohol, but every time he did drink, there was an issue. And that sums up so many people. So many people. The fact that it's led to them, you know, breaking up and co-parenting the door as a result, just shows the extent of what it can be. She's not suggesting for a minute that he was drinking every day and he was, you know, his behaviour at any other point was bad. But it was bad enough when he was drinking, and the frequency, I suppose, was enough that it was a big factor in their breakup. So I'm like, I'm sure everybody to some degree can resonate with that.
I think a lot of people definitely can relate to it, can't they? And it's just a really tricky one, because I think in society, in a way, like problematic drinking or drinking in a way that's causing yourself issues in your life, it's almost glamorized rather than problemized. So like going out, it was interesting listening to Catherine last week. Her episode's out, isn't it? And she was saying like her drinking was causing her problems in the way she felt like you the next day, but it wasn't creating like problematic behavior where she was very, like you said, you'd never seen her drunk. She wasn't getting herself into vulnerable situations, but that was causing her an issue in another way.
Yeah.
My drinking was getting me into potentially vulnerable situations, and making me behave in ways that I didn't like. So there's all these different ways that it can impact your life. And I think it's just paying attention to those, because in society, other people might say, oh, it's not a problem. Oh, you weren't that bad. But deep down in your own mind, you might be thinking, oh, but I didn't like the way I behaved in that way. But I didn't like saying that, even if other people sort of play it down, which sometimes I think they do, because they know that they've been there. They know how awful it makes you feel, and they just want to be kind and nice to you. But I think if you're hearing things that you're thinking, oh, actually, that does resonate a little bit. Yeah. It's time to look at it.
So I think regardless of what anyone says, you might have just been like really, really funny on that night, so nobody sees it as a problem. I was the same. I was never aggressive. I was never an idiot. I just couldn't moderate, and I would be dancing on tables and everything like that. And that's great to the outside world. That's great, and that looks fun. But to me, the next day, I was mortified. And then comes the kind of the flashback and the looking at your phone, and videos get sent, and you're like, oh my Jesus, it's cringeworthy to the point where I felt so uncomfortable in my own skin, kind of like, ooh, when I see that person the next time, or the people. But their perspective is, oh, what a great night, what a great girl, she's so much fun. My perspective is, yeah, I am. I am a great girl and I am so much fun, but you're not living in my head. You're not living with the after effects of that. You're getting the best part of that experience there. You're not getting the really kind of torturous part the next day. So although it might have been fun and everything to you, and it was to me at the time, I can't continue to do that, because these after effects are too negative for me to kind of be a productive, functioning adult that I want to be, present adult that I want to be moving forward. And say what you want, but you're not living in my head, you're not living with my thoughts, you're not going through my inner kind of processes. So as long as you're not, I'm going to make my decisions for me and just respect that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that I had a conversation recently with a friend, and I was explaining giving up drinking, because a lot of people will come onto this in a bit more detail, but they want to know why you want to stop drinking. Yeah. But this is a friend who I would drink with, so he's seen, the effect it can have on me. And I was explaining that now I had committed that I am going to not drink ever again. And he was like, well, surely the goal is to be able to control it, and to be able to drink with control and self-discipline. But he's not a big drinker. I'm like, he can't then understand. I think it's hard for people to understand who've not ever got sort of sucked into it, that moderation is so hard. And for me, I was explaining to moderate, to be able to control it, it's not particularly an easy thing to do. And it's actually more straightforward just to say, enough is enough. I'm not going to touch it ever again. And he couldn't really get his head around it because he's not been in my head, and he's not sort of lost control with alcohol. Yeah,
you have different lived experiences. A goal for him might be to be able to moderate. Great. Wish you well in that goal. My goal's different to yours. Just respect it. That's all I think I'm asking for, is for people to respect my boundaries. It is funny when, and I know we've got kind of like different viewpoints on this, but when you tell people you don't drink and people ask why, I'm very kind of, chill. Like, we don't, like, mind your own business. Like, for me, that's quite a personal question, especially if you don't know me like that. Whereas, I don't know if you want to explain your perspective.
I'm obviously earlier into it, so I'm 8 months sober. Maybe I'll get more tired of it, but I'm quite happy for people to ask me why. But it is a hard one to answer, because it's like, well, there's so many reasons why not to do it.
Yeah.
Obviously, we know why there's so many reasons not to do it, but I'm happy to share some of the experience. One of our listeners, a friend, she'd commented saying, oh gosh, I often ask people why they don't drink. And I was like, well, I think it's a really tricky one, isn't it? Because if someone's asking, they've got a genuine interest, or I know when I was drinking, I would have been really intrigued to know, your story a little bit more, because I was thinking of not drinking myself.
Yeah.
So if it's coming from that angle, I'm really, really open to explaining why. But I think it's the context, isn't it? If someone's sort of shaming you of like, why aren't you drinking? You're boring. And that context, it puts a whole different light on it.
QPod is Oldham's only professional podcast production company. Last year, we helped local businesses and charities share the full impact of their stories and reach new audiences across Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube and more. Our fully equipped studio is available to hire to take your video and audio podcast to the next level, and our team is on hand to help with everything you need to create your very own show. If you're in North Manchester and want to talk to the passionate podcast professionals, visit kupod.co.uk. QPod, be sound.
I think for me, there's so many reasons why I could not be drinking. It could be fertility issues. It could be an alcohol problem. It could be religious beliefs. There's so many reasons that I think are kind of personal and private. To straight out ask somebody why. Yeah. I think, just unless I'm coming at it from a perspective. From a conversation where, I don't drink, and actually I'm doing this podcast as well. You know what I mean? Then that leads to but if it's just that I don't drink,
why?
That's a full sentence.
Yeah,
that's a full sentence.
Yeah,
I don't drink.
Yeah,
for me that's like, accept that.
I think it does really depend on the situation. If you were out in a bar and you were saying, "Yeah, I don't drink," how would it have been if I'd have asked, before I'd stopped drinking, if I'd have asked why?
I think for me, it's. I get the curiosity, and I'm more than happy. I think it's more how the question is phrased and how the conversation comes about. For me, I think it's more like how the question is phrased and how the conversation comes about. Like if it's a genuine like curiosity, or if it's why don't you drink? I'm like, well, but if it's a case of like we're having a conversation about it, or there's I'm not articulating myself very well, but I think you can feel where someone's coming from. So if someone is genuinely curious, I think they'd ask it in a different way. I think right, you don't drink. Do you know what? That's something I've been thinking about. Then I'm like, blah, blah, blah. Then I'm an open book. Yeah. But if it's a case of why? Yeah. Why? Why have you got blue hair? Why have you got 4 fingers?
Yeah, we just don't. You just wouldn't, would you?
None of your business.
Yeah.
So I think for me, it's the intention behind the question that I'm more kind of thinking of and open to answering.
Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it?
No, it's interesting. And people could say, well, you're doing a bloody podcast about it. Why are you so like, don't ask me about it?
It's the context, isn't it? The situation. Yeah.
It's on my terms.
And I think I know I feel like when I was speaking with my friend, it's like, I don't want to have to justify why. I don't mind explaining why, but I don't want to feel like I'm justifying myself why I'm not drinking, because it's something that's just been so normalised when actually it is an issue for so many people. And that leads me on. I've got a little stat here that I wanted to share. So I saw a stat and it said binge drinking. So these are the amounts for binge drinking. For women, 4 drinks in one night out would be considered binge drinking, 5 for men. And heavy drinking would be considered 8 drinks per week for women and 15 drinks per week for men. And I saw that stat and I was like, binge drinking, 4 drinks. I could easily double that and more.
Easily.
And I wouldn't have batted an eyelid. I didn't consider it particularly binge
that
drinking.
That would be considered a quiet night. Yeah.
4 would, in my mind, 4 would be considered and that's in one sitting. I'm guessing obviously if you're racking up a couple of those a week, that's a lot. But I think in society, we are not aware that 4 drinks in one sitting is considered a binge. Many of us are going out and drinking so much more than that. So I just thought that it was really interesting to highlight.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would be surprised by that. Is that like a government statistic, is it maybe?
It was an Instagram statistic. Yeah. I'll have to source. I'll put the source in the show notes.
It would. Do you know what would be interesting? To do like maybe like a vox pop or something where we ask people, what would you consider binge drinking in comparison to that? Yeah,
I could put it on the socials. Yeah. And if anyone wants to leave a comment in the show notes as well.
Yeah, because for me, I'd say binge drinking for a female in one night, going off my own personal lived experience, would be minimum, absolutely minimum, 10 drinks.
Yeah, I don't think many people would bat an eyelid.
4 or 5 of those would be before I left the house.
Yeah.
Oh my God, so even more.
Yeah.
Even more. And that would be what I could remember.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, it's just crazy, isn't it? And it's just so normalised and accepted. And I think a lot of the drinking behaviours as well, such as blackouts, not remembering getting home, you get, like you said, receiving videos that maybe you can't even remember being taken. Yeah. It's just normalised and it's not seen as a big deal. Which I just wanted to share, because we're talking about the whys and how things are normalised. The last time I did drink, and I don't think I've shared this before, but I'd gone out, I'd said to Si, I'm not going to be in too late, because I knew Enzo had a football tournament the next day and it was a cup final.
Right.
And I went out, I started drinking. And like so many times for myself, and I know for other people, like it's so hard to control once you get started. Then I was like, oh, actually, I'll be back a bit later. I had managed to text, but got back late. The next day, I knew we had this football tournament, but I'd still not controlled it because it's so hard to control. I was so hungover going to this football match. It was absolutely awful. We'd had a row, which I think did really impact on the children as well because they'd heard all of that. It's upsetting.
Yeah,
I could barely watch the game. Another team after was playing their game. I had to go and sit in the car, and then we were all going for like a social event afterwards. I could barely speak to anyone. I was just like a shell of myself, just sat there. It was horrific. And I want to share it because people were like, oh, I'm sure it's not that bad. They were really trying to make me feel better and remove some of that, that horrible hangover feeling.
Yeah.
And saying like, I'm sure you weren't that bad. I'm sure it's not that bad. Oh, I've been in those states all of the time. And I'm like, they were trying to make me feel better. But again, that just shows like how normal and accepted it is. No one, of course, no one would be like, yeah, how could you do that?
Yeah.
What awful behaviour. But I know that it's so common. They were trying to make me feel better, but I knew that was it. Could not do that anymore.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to share that because I hope it might resonate with people. And also if people are trying to say, it's not that bad, you've got to listen to yourself really and think, is this causing a problem?
And thanks for sharing that because that's, very vulnerable. Sharing something so like personal as that. But to add to your point, it's how you feel and it is so normalised. Like you having an experience like that. So that was your kind of like tipping point moment there. So you having that experience now has resulted in you not drinking, becoming alcohol free for the last 8 months. And everyone are like, oh, it's not bad. You don't have to, you go extreme, not drinking, you don't have to. Okay. So say, for example, you went out 3 nights a week. People would think, oh, Christal, great, having fun, whatever. You go to the gym 3 times a week. You're overdoing it. You're a bit obsessed with that. You're overdoing it. You need to cut back. Getting a bit too much. I'm like, it's like one is looking after your health, trying to look after your physical, your mental, your emotional well-being. The other is the absolute opposite, but it's kind of lionized. It's kind of a badge of honor.
Yeah, it's completely glamorized, isn't it?
Completely glamorized. So it's just interesting the perspectives that people and society put on your decisions, especially as a female as well. Sorry, guys, but especially as a female, it's like we feel it. We feel it. I'll have to clarify this for the official statistics, but women become alcoholic. The trajectory from non-alcoholic to alcoholic is so much more rapid than men. And I think I was telling you before, George Best, his mum didn't have a drink until she was 40 and completely teetotal. And she died of alcoholism. I can't remember what age, but it was a rapid decline. And I'm like, and I knew that years ago, before alcohol was ever kind of like an issue for myself. And I remember thinking, that's one. I thought, why did she start drinking? And because I was completely unaware of like the grip and the hold it can get. But 2, I was thinking, that's so fast. Yeah, that's so fast.
I think it goes to show like how everybody's experience is just so personal to them, doesn't it? Like you could start early or later, and it's just a really addictive, really dangerous drug, and it could get you at any time.
Yeah.
And I think like in drinking and in not drinking, it's so everybody's experience is just so unique and personal. So it's great to get different people's perspectives and have that conversation.
Yeah.
So, and I love that we are, that people are having those conversations like you've said in the gym. It's great to hear.
It's really good. And people who I never would, this is the thing, it's people who you never would have thought would have had these kind of issues or feeling about alcohol. They're the ones that are commenting. They're the ones that are having a conversation with you. And I'm like, this is great. This is normalising an issue. It's taking the stigma away from it, and it's getting that conversation. And one thing that this lady said last night is that you're not preachy about it. You're not, oh, I've not drunk for no. I great, let me polish my halo. It's like, no, I've not. It's because of this, and it's because of that, and it's real things to real people, and it affects so many different people in so many different ways. And I'm just glad that we've got a platform now where we're able to be open, honest, resonate with people, start a conversation, and hopefully take away the stigma
I hope
that's
so.
around it.
And it sounds like that's happening, isn't it? And I think in the media as well, people are talking about it more, and I think we just need to keep on talking about it.
Definitely.
So we can carry on the conversation. People can always keep on in touch on the sober.freedom Instagram, and we've also got the show notes as well. So we always read those and we can respond on there. So we hope everyone can continue enjoying listening and keeping in touch on those platforms.
Yes, and like, share, follow, subscribe, everything. You get a free lollipop after every subscription.
Sugar-free.
Sugar-free, alcohol-free. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
The Sober Freedom podcast is hosted by Christal, Dauncey and Lisa McGinnis. To leave comments, ask questions and interact with the show, follow @sober.freedom on Instagram. Please also subscribe, rate and leave comments wherever you listen to help us reach more people. The show is recorded at QPod Studios in Oldham and produced by me, Matt Dean, with video production from Eddie Corteen for QPod Productions. For more information, please visit kupod.co.uk.